We're on it. Direct line.
Policy must remain in force until end of policy term. Existing customers opt in any time. Minimum 1,000 mileage difference required, excluding van and optional extras.
On your phone, it's just a photo of your dog in the park. But on a new Samsung Galaxy S21, it's
an epic portrait of a noble beast, filmed with 8K video snap and frozen in photographic form. A tornado of flailing fur rendered in glorious megapixels, jaws clamped around its squeaky prey. A truly shareable sight.
the new Samsung Galaxy S21 Plus 5G, made for the epic in every day. Available now.
Drop it. Good boy.
This Valentine's, it's easy to send a card and flowers as unique as your relationship to your Valentine, your love, your darling, your snuggle bunny, your duck, sweetheart, sweet cheeks, fab, baby, babes, honey bun, little pickle. Lots of love, all your love, Valentine's wishes, 1,000 kisses for them from you with moonpig.com. Download the app now.
Global Player is the official LBC app where you can choose from thousands of podcasts.
Where did you get your first sense of enemy?
I mean, birds. I'm going to say that.
Global Player, radio, playlists and podcasts.
Download it from your app store now for free or go to globalplayer.com. Ian Payne on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
So it appears that the controversial statue of Cecil Rhodes continues to divide. It's at Oxford University. It's due to be removed after a decision by the university by the summer and placed in a museum, but it's being opposed by many people, including several dons who work at Oxford University, the lecturers there. It's likely to be the first test case in these so-called culture wars, because the Communities Secretary, Robert Jenrick, said at the end of last year he aims to protect such things by law. What should we do and how far should it go? We've heard from some amazing people, particularly we've just heard from Andrew, a Zimbabwean who lives in Manchester now, whose ancestor was hung by the British during the wars in what is now Zimbabwe. And the skeleton was brought back and it's still on display in a British museum, but we didn't find out which one because I didn't think that was very tasteful. Tony is in Islington. What do you think, Tony?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Ian. It's very interesting that, you were very sure about discussing the race of black gang members, but when it comes to white racist supremacists, you don't have an opinion on it. Cecil Rhodes should come down, and if you want to know how far it should go, it goes as far as necessary, because a statue is a symbol of honor. There's nothing divisive about Cecil Rhodes or William Gladstone. People that made millions from slavery shouldn't have statues. You can put them in a museum.
So the former Prime Minister of this country should not have any statues, William Gladstone, to him because of those links.
No, it's just as that first caller that spoke to you, he said, put it in a museum with the context. If you can have skeletons in the museum that there's no debate about taking that away, but when it comes to statues, there's somehow some debate. Yet as somebody who was hung, their skeleton is still in a museum. So put the statues in a museum, put the right context there, and that's as far as you go. You go as far as you.
All right. Well, let me ask you the Churchill question: should this statue near the Houses of Parliament be taken down and put in a museum?
For what he's done, of course. Why is he illegal, or what is so everyone always talks about that. Take it down and put it in the museum. We're not saying that he didn't help fight help Britain in the war. Nobody's saying that you don't give the right context. But where there is an association with something as terrible as the African Holocaust and the colonialism that followed, you must.
What do you think when people describe Winston Churchill as a hero?
As a war hero for the time that he was, that's fine. But he was still a war hero and a racist, and he caused millions of people to die. There were hundreds of thousands of Africans and Indians that fought in World War I and World War II. They didn't get any recognition. They didn't get any penny. They were not treated the same as their white counterparts. So, even the whole context of we won the war. We won around the world with millions of Indians and hundreds of thousands of Africans that didn't get any recognition until recently.
Okay, let me ask you another question that I always ask.
Talk about.
I always ask when I'm touching this subject. So in Liverpool City Council, you go into the council chamber or the main council office, there's a very incredibly ornate room, and on it, adorned on all the walls, are Victorians who built Liverpool, and they built Liverpool off the money of slavery. What should happen to all those portraits?
In a town hall or in something like that, that's not my problem,
Okay.
because not everybody's going to go into a town hall. You can have something in a town hall, but a statue. If there's a statue of any of those people outside, put them back inside. You know, a statue, we're talking about statues.
So something that is on public display in any form.
Well, a statue.
Yeah.
We're not talking about paintings and things like that.
Oh,
It's
okay.
about statues.
Why? What's the difference between a statue and a painting?
Because a painting is usually in a building, in a museum, and you know, and I think if you want to, rather than taking down something like a painting as you described, you should put the right context about what these people are associated with. You know, how did all these things how did they get the wealth that they got?
All right, listen, it's a fascinating subject. I'm sorry, again, I'm only moving on because I've got so many people want to talk about this. I tell you what I'd really like to know. Is there anyone here with or listening with Ugandan ancestry at all? Are there any statues or memorials to Idi Amin anywhere in Uganda? Can anyone answer me that? I could probably Google it, but I'd much rather hear from someone, because that would be quite interesting, wouldn't it? 03456060973. There must be loads of statues to Robert Mugabe in Zimbabwe now, you know, and there's a lot of things he did, let's face it, that weren't necessarily commendable. It's such a tricky subject, isn't it? Assad is Heathrow. Hello, Assad.
Hey, hi. The point I want to make, really, I mean, my personal opinion is that, yes, I do believe that statue should be taken down. But the real reason I think that a lot of people seemingly are against taking down the statues is because they themselves may be ignorant to the atrocities that were actually committed in the name of the British Empire. I mean, I'm really old now, I'm 42 years old.
So old?
Yeah.
Stop it.
I feel that.
Young man.
But I studied the GCSE in English and history. I studied A-levels in history. And I don't remember a single lesson where we were told about any of the crimes against humanity which were committed by the British Empire.
Yes, that's true.
And I would challenge you to ask some of the so-called, the people who are opposed to taking down the statues, and actually finding out.
Were you taught at school about the slave trade at all?
Honestly speaking, I wasn't.
No, I can't remember it. I cannot remember it, to be honest. I mean, it was mentioned, but there was no kind of mea culpa about it.
I think it's scandalous, really. I mean, my son is 10 years old, and he mentioned the Black History Month, and within that month, they taught somewhat about slavery and the things that happened to the black community. But, I think rather than focusing on statues, we really need to, focus on making sure that children are getting the rounded education.
Yeah.
When they do,
I know, it's like when I must admit, I totally understand it, but I do bridle somewhat when I hear about Black History Month. I just think, can we not do it within the context of what we're learning all the time? Why do we have to have a specific period to talk about it? It's very divisive, and I just think we need to have a serious look at the curriculum and talk about the good and the bad. It's like, take something as simple as the 100 Years' War between England and France. We never learn about the defeats. We never learn about the victories. We never great battles in the past, Trafalgar, Crecy, Agincourt. We never learn about the big defeats, the occasional one, but not so many. Assad, pleasure to speak to you. Thank you very much. Let's get one more call before the break. Sadie's in Sutton. Hello, Sadie.
Oh, hello, Ian. I just wanted to say, regarding the statues and eradicating history away from our history, actually, I think most people don't know, to New Churchill, etc., but that one that was thrown into the water again in Bristol, it's known, and people have been campaigning, etc. But the thing is that you don't know the history, and it's where should the statues taken, and the that person before said put into the museum and put what was there, because that is actually what it is. And wouldn't I mean, it would still matter, but the fact that Black Lives Matter, so people do not understand why they say all lives matter, of course all lives matter, and so on and so on, but the actual fact that it's not the history, we don't need the history of what happened, and that doesn't mean, and it's in the context, those people were ignorant in a way, they didn't know they were able to find out science and stuff, but compared to us, who didn't really realise, it's like comparing a 15-year-old to a 55-year-old as part
Of course. Sadie, I'm only going to stop because your line's a bit dodgy. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear every word you were saying. Forgive me. Do ring again, though. Let me just read out a couple of texts before we move on to the break. Ian, I'm from Zimbabwe, says Lazarus, and a black guy. It disturbs my mind that statues of roads are being removed. Yes, he may have been a controversial figure, but he is no better than Mugabe, who also has so many statues in Zimbabwe. Mugabe killed many black Zimbabweans, and yet he is celebrated for the same evils. I just don't get the woke culture, even though I should as a black person. Anne says, why don't we wipe out our entire history to make sure we please everyone? It's ridiculous. History is history, the good and the bad. Wipe it all away and we have nothing to learn. Just live with it and discuss. I agree, Anne, but my feeling is if you're going to learn about history, let's hear it from both sides so that we can understand. I know that history is only, it's like people talk about the Bible, people talk about old historical texts. They are written by winners. You know, it's the winners who write history. So, for example, when all this debate started, when Colston statue was chucked in the water, I cycle around London a lot, and suddenly I began noticing statues and memorials I'd never thought about before. They're just things that were there that you never looked at. Almost all of them are Victorian. You know, there's a few that aren't, but almost all of them are Victorians, and most of them are imperialists and generals. History is written by the winners. Sometimes we need to hear about the losers as well, don't we? And what happened. Otherwise, we end up just repeating the mistakes of history again and again. 0345 6060 973. The controversial statue at Cecil Rhodes that is standing on a building at Oxford University is due to be removed after a decision by the university in the summer and placed in a museum. Should it be? And if that statue goes, what else should go? It's 5:45.
Nick Ferrari at breakfast. LBC. Foreign Office Minister James Cleverly. When did you put out the request to the hotel chains?
The formal announcement came out very first thing this morning, just overnight.
Is it right? Currently, we have 0 rooms out of the 28,000.
We said last week that this is something...
You have 0 rooms currently, don't you, Minister?
Well, as I say, the formal request...
I'll take that as a yes. And could one of the reasons why you have 0 rooms, Minister, because this should have been done a week ago? Nick Ferrari at breakfast. Weekday mornings from 7, LBC.
For savings on kitchen appliances, visit markselectrical.co.uk. Find selected Smeg retro fridge freezers, reduced by up to £400, with a further £100 off at checkout. And traditional Smeg Victoria range cookers, again with £100 off. Highly rated on Trustpilot and FIFO, with free next day or weekend delivery available. Buy online or through our UK call centre now. Visit markselectrical.co.uk.
Your start it up is our warm it up. Your masterpiece is our get it in one piece. Your it's just never gonna fit is our reverse it in bit by bit. And your daily marathon when it's done is our ready to start work and we'll put the kettle on. Because your business is our business. Volkswagen Commercial Vehicles, working with you. Park assist optional extra. Driver assistance only. Driver must retain control at all times. Many van centres open late for bookings. See volkswagenvans.co.uk for details.
Could you look a COVID-19 patient in the eyes and tell them the risk isn't real? Could you tell an intensive care nurse on a 12-hour shift that you never bend the rules? Could you say in all honesty that you only ever leave home when you absolutely have to? Around 1 in 3 people who have COVID-19 have no symptoms and are spreading it without knowing. Are you absolutely positive you're not one of them? Stay home. Protect the NHS. Save lives.
Hi there, small business owner. Your tiny hard-nosed QuickBooks team here. Payroll and pension contributions. So stressful, am I right?
She's not wrong. And you got bigger fish to fry. Hairs to curl, parcels to post, and other business to get on with.
So let us take care of that payroll stress, eh?
Visit quickbooks.co.uk today.
To it, QuickBooks.
Whether you're dreaming of the holiday of a lifetime or a lifetime of holidays, what you need is dream come true money. Luckily, Tuesday's Euro Millions jackpot is just that. Incredible dream come true money. Euro Millions from the National Lottery. Play on app, online and in-store. Account terms, rules and procedures apply. Players must be 16 or over.
You're listening to a revolution. Hidden in the kitchen, Sandra's smart meter is doing something extraordinary, helping to upgrade Britain's energy system so we can use more green energy sources, and helping Sandra make small changes to use less energy and save money too. So even if her bacon butty is average, Sandra's contribution to a modern Britain will be anything but. Join the quiet revolution. Ask your energy supplier for a smart meter. Eligibility may vary, consumer action required.
The title of this little confusion is Leather Conference Room Chair. It's a big moment for this entrepreneur. Time to take a seat and make that deal. Confusion fills the air, and there's an accusing set of eyes. That leather chair might be the deal breaker. Get the deal you want with the Beat Your Renewal guarantee. If you can't find a cheaper renewal quote on your car insurance, you get the difference plus £20. I'm not confused. I'm confused.com. T's and C's online, single annual policies only.
Jen's new smart speaker should be teaching her to cook a chicken. But it's not, because her Wi-Fi doesn't reach the kitchen, so she's winging it. Poussin le ceiling is served. Oh, why, Jen? Why buy the best home tech if your Wi-Fi won't support it? Well, with BT Complete Wi-Fi, that bird can still be basted. Only BT gives you reliable Wi-Fi in every room or a £100 money-back guarantee. Why choose anyone else? BT, beyond limits.
Up to 3 discs to guarantee 10 Mbps in every room or £100 off your next bill. Terms apply.
This is LBC with Ian Payne. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
So I did ask about Idi Amin statues in Uganda. I'm still waiting for anyone who is from Uganda, Kampala, wherever, and would like to tell me whether they're statues of Idi Amin. But here's a piece that was written in 2018. Uganda is to build an Idi Amin museum to attract tourists. What? Uganda hopes to attract tourists with a war museum showcasing some of the darkest moments from its histories. Atrocities committed under ex-President Idi Amin's brutal 8-year rule and by the Lord's Resistance Army, the LRA, are to be documented. We want to put the record straight, said the chief executive of the Uganda Tourism Board. So there is another example of somebody who, very famous figure, led the country, very, very controversial, kicked, most of the Asians out of Uganda. I remember so many of them coming here when I was a child. But there's no statue of him, I don't think, on public display. It seems to be in a museum, and maybe that's exactly what we're talking about here. We're talking about the Cecil Rhodes statue. It's been decided that by the university that statue will be removed. As I say, if you really want to see how the students feel, go online, go on YouTube, put in keywords Oxford Union debate, and then must roads, can't read my writing, sorry, that's why I was stumbling. Must roads fall, in inverted commas. Thank you, Ian. Could do better. Son of a doctor, you see, none of us can write properly. 0345 6060. Don't be silly, doctors, I'm not being. 0345 6060 973. Let us talk more about that. Do you believe that the statue should go? And if it should go, what else should go? I was amazed the strength of feeling about Sir Winston Churchill and his statue going. I don't think it's ever going to go, but well, you never know. Jermaine's in Hackney. Hi.
Hi, good afternoon. Thanks so much for having me.
You're part of an activist group, I gather.
Yeah, well, this is sort of a community voice group, part of the local authority here in Hackney, called Review, Rename and Reclaim.
Okay.
And the great thing about this is that our approach has always been about what does the community say? Let's do some consultation. Let's hear about the voices
delivery for a whole year, only with the Meerkat app.
Wonderful food! Glorious food!
Qualifying purchase, one membership a year, £30 minimum spend. App only, geo restrictions and T's and C's apply.
Do something mighty this year and raise money for Macmillan Cancer Support. Take on the Dedham Vale Mighty Hike on the 31st of July and walk 26 or 13 miles through the Dedham Vale area of outstanding natural beauty. With spectacular scenery and our team supporting you from start to finish, you'll be amazed at how far you can go. Plus, the medal and bubbly at the finish line helps. Sign up today and support people living with cancer who need us now more than ever. Go to macmillan.org.uk/Dedham Vale.
Driving to the seaside. We'll get there soon. Finding sand weeks later. One day, we'll get there too. At QuickFit, we're here to help you get where you need to be, with 10% off 2 or more Michelin tyres available today. Book now at quickfit.com or visit your local centre. QuickFit. Drive away happy.
A dozen red roses, chocolates to share, Prosecco, 2 glasses. Make Valentine's Day at home special with a gift from your local co-op. From our dozen fair trade red roses to our delicious co-op irresistible Prosecco and fair trade milk chocolate hearts, we have everything you need to show them you care this Valentine's Day. Co-op is what we do. Subject to availability. See participating stores for details. Roses available from the 9th of February. Please drink responsibly.
Leading Britain's conversation. LBC. With Ian Payne.
So, the government has called together, or summoned, if that's the word, representatives from various tech firms and retailers, people like ASOS, people like Boohoo, people like Amazon, Ocado, Just Eat, Deliveroo, also the big supermarkets, anyone who's made a massive profit during the pandemic. They've been summoned to meet the government later this month ahead of the budget to discuss how an online sales tax would work. We only know this because emails about this have been leaked. God, it's a leaky government, isn't it? Downing Street Policy Unit is also working up proposals for an excessive profits tax on companies that have seen profits surge as a result of the crisis. Amazon sales in Britain leapt by 51% last year to 19.5 billion, as those in lockdown became more reliant on home deliveries. We don't know everything about Amazon's tax details because they won't tell us, but one part of Amazon only paid 14.5 million in corporation tax in 2019. We know that because of where they're based, and the law allows them to do this. I mean, if we're going to do this, should we start chasing offshore accounts? I don't know how we do this. Many Tories, I'm not going to name any names because it could get me into trouble, but many Tories do have offshore accounts, as do many politicians from both sides, I suspect. So where does it all end? If it's legal, what's the problem? 0345 6060 973. As I say, if you understand taxation and finances better than me, and you probably do, I'd love to hear from you. Dave's in Harrow. Hello, Dave.
Hi, Nick. Ian, get the name right, isn't it? Yeah, I'm with you on this. I'd actually question, if they really do make as much money as they profess to be making. And the one thing is that I think is absolutely crazy is these internet firms have actually bailed us out. By virtue of what they do, the Zooms and the Googles and all that. I don't know how, I suppose I do know how Google makes money, but put it this way, it doesn't charge me any money. I do searches, I find out information every day. I don't pay, apart from the actual data, which is not a lot, I don't pay anything for all this information. So I appreciate they do make their money, somehow, but I think the government, and what's really infuriating is the fact that they can actually change the rules to suit themselves. Obviously, they're trying to bail themselves out for having just doled out all this furlough to companies, without checking the veracity of whether the company should be actually.
Okay, well, don't look at it from that point of view. Look upon it as an attempt by the government, which we understand is partly behind this, to try and level out the playing field for sales between the high street, the bricks and mortar shops, and the online, because we tax online sales at the moment, and the way that we do that is killing the high street. Should we save it, or should natural selection be allowed to take hold and just say, if you can't make a profit, you have to die?
Well, unfortunately, things are changing. They're going to bail out the pubs. What are they going to do to bail out the pubs? The thing is, bailing out is one thing, but Amazon provide a lot of, and I'm no apologies for Amazon. There's something
Oh, I
I
think
like
they're
about
fantastic.
Yeah, I think they're all these companies. I think, and it's the way forward. We cannot be bailing out the oil companies, which is what they're doing at the moment. You know, to the tune of millions of taxpayers. You know, hundreds of pounds. You know, and you know the way forward is. Yes, we've got massive pollution in London. You know, in Harrow, it's like, hello, what lockdown? It's just absolutely crazy on the roads.
Is it?
Needs to be. It's madness everywhere. It's just like, I don't want to sort of blow it, but I mean, to you know, to the world. But you know, it's like, is anybody actually, you know, hearing the message, the stay-at-home message? You know, because unless it's exercising my car. And I don't believe they're all essential workers. I think they need to be. And why are they not massively taxing? I don't call £100 a year for the tax bits. I don't call that reflecting the millions they're spending on flood defence.
So you don't think A, this can be done, and B, it's not really worth doing? It's not. It's just unfair.
I think they've got their priorities completely wrong. I think they've absolutely got them completely wrong. They need to, you know, deal with the problem. We've got a pandemic. We've got a health crisis in London. With the pollution crisis. We've got a climate emergency, and it's just like they're just completely in total denial of all of it.
Okay, Dave, thank you very much indeed. Sorry, I'm just moving on. Here's a quote from Dr. Thomas Sowell. I don't know. We're going to have to Google him. I don't know who that is. It's come from Ash in London, who says he said this: "I have never understood why it is greed to want to keep the money you have earned, but not greed to want to take someone else's money." That's a quote from Dr. Thomas Sowell, who I confess I know nothing about, but hopefully by the end of this programme I will. Here is Martin, a new caller in Welland Garden. Hello, Martin.
Hi, Ian, how are you?
Good, thank you. A little bit confused, but is this a good thing to tax people who've made massive profits during the pandemic?
I don't really understand the vilification of Amazon and other online companies who have just given consumers what they want. What people don't understand is 50% of Amazon sales come from third-party sellers, and we are one of them. There's
Sorry, just explain that.
Any business can sell their products on Amazon.
I see.
As part of the third-party seller, most buyers wouldn't notice it, and there must be that.
I don't think anybody begrudges Amazon doing incredibly well, because the service they offer is incredible. What they do feel slightly aggrieved about is if they're going to make this much money, they should pay the percentage tax and the going rate that the rest of us does.
Absolutely, but all Amazon does is they will just pass that cost on to all the small businesses that sell on Amazon. So, for example, there's an internet sales tax which was introduced a little while ago, and they just pass that on to sellers. As sellers, I mean, we pay Amazon around 20% on revenue as a commission, and they'll just add that to third-party sellers. And I personally, I don't think that's fair. We're taxing successful businesses to make them as poor as everyone else.
But you know, the taxable rate, if it's the same for me as for them, you know, they'll still make a huge amount of money. But you know, do you feel the system is fair? Is what I'm asking.
I think the system at the moment is fair. I think what government is trying to do is save the high street, and the high street's been dying for a very long time, and that's been caused by lots of reasons. You know, you can point to council charging, you know, people coming in by cars or taking away parking, and businesses that are struggling because of that. You know, should have diversified online.
We'll see if they can do it. Thank you very much indeed, Martin. Make sure it's not your only call to LBC. So, Thomas Sowell, thank you, producer, is an American economist, social theorist. Oh, is he still alive? A senior fellow at Stanford University's Hoover Institution. Sowell writes from a libertarian, conservative perspective. Sowell has written more than 30 books, and his work has been widely anthologized. He is a National Humanities Medal recipient for innovative scholarship, which incorporated history, economics, and political science. So there you are. There was his particular quote. Do you believe that this is possible, and do you believe that the big retailers, be it online or supermarkets, should actually pay a lot more in tax because they've made so much profit? I don't know. I'm not sure I would agree with doing it purely because they've made huge profits. You know, as long as they're paying tax. What I would ask is the tax they're paying fair? You know, but presumably they're doing it legally. I don't know whether there's a loophole. As I understood it, again, I have a very simplistic view of how this subject works, but it seems to me that they're paying less tax because they are based in Ireland or wherever it happens to be that pays less tax, and you are taxed on where the company is based, even though you might be making your sales elsewhere. If I sell loads of fruit to France, it's not the French taxman who'll be after my profits. It'll be the British taxman who'll be after our profits. What do you think? 03456060973. Stevens from Wembley says, if the government are trying to recoup the money lost over the pandemic, why don't they agree to tax them for the length of the pandemic? A one-time tax, then let them make money for being a clever business. Yeah, I think it's going to be difficult if we're after Jeff Bezos to pay for all the money we've borrowed during the pandemic. This is LBC. I'm Ian Payne. The time is exactly 6:30, and Tim Humphrey has the headlines.
The government says it's not planning to issue COVID passports. The vaccine ministers told LBC introducing them to allow people to travel after having both doses of the jab could mean discrimination because the vaccinations are not compulsory. AstraZeneca says it's working on adapting its coronavirus vaccine after a study revealed it offers less protection against the South African variant, but the firm says it's confident the jab protects against severe disease caused by the strain. Snowy weather caused by Storm Darcy forced some COVID vaccination centres to close. Sites in Clacton, Colchester and Ipswich had to shut. More than 12 million people have now had a first dose across the UK. And the weather, snow continuing across southeast England tonight with showers in the northeast, a sharp frost everywhere and a low of -4.
This is LBC.
A dozen red roses, chocolates to share, Prosecco, 2 glasses. Make Valentine's Day at home special with a gift from your local co-op. From our dozen fair trade red roses to our delicious co-op irresistible Prosecco and fair trade milk chocolate hearts, we have everything you need to show them you care this Valentine's Day. Co-op is what we do. Subject to availability. See participating stores for details. Roses available from the 9th of February. Please drink responsibly.
The latest government guidance requires everyone to stay at home. TfL services continue to run for those who need to travel for legally permitted reasons. If you need to travel, please walk or cycle if you can. If you are using public transport, please plan ahead and travel at quiet times, which on weekdays are between 8:15 a.m. and 4 p.m. and after 5:30 p.m. You must wear a face covering at all times on public transport unless you are exempt. Check before you travel. Search TfL Journey Planner. To the Mayor of London and TfL, every journey matters.
Deep mud, sticky mud, splashy mud, and muddy mud. Is that mud? Construction site mud mixed with cement and sand mud. Mud, glorious mud. If your business can't escape it, you'd better embrace it. The new Ford Transit Trail, built for the rough of it. All-wheel drive to get you through the thick of it. A bold Ford grille covered in it. The new all-wheel drive Ford Transit Trail. Get muddy at ford.co.uk. We're with you on this journey. Ford Commercial Vehicles, backbone of Britain. Visit ford.co.uk.
New all-wheel drive Transit Trail, part of the Trail range, which includes the Transit Custom with mechanical limited slip differential technology.
Hi there, small business owner. Your tiny QuickBooks team here. Just a quick reminder that we take care of calculating and filing your VAT and payroll taxes, which makes it easier for you to manage throughout the year. That's right. You're not missing out on any tax savings.
Not on our watch.
For available tax products, visit quickbooks.co.uk.
QuickBooks. We're so happy that you're so happy. We're all so happy. Happy Drains.
Happy Drains. With over 25 years' experience unblocking and repairing drains, we've seen it all, quite literally. Our CCTV inspection means we can diagnose the problem and put it right fast. Whatever your drainage emergency, Happy Drains will take care of it 24/7. Click happydrains.co.uk.
Happy Drains.
Okay, listen up. We're going for a high press, but if their wing-backs start to dominate, revert to a midfield diamond.
Unfortunately, Pension B can't make you football coach confident, but we can transfer most old pensions together into one simple online plan. So all your retirement savings are invested in one place for easy management.
I said midfield diamond!
Pete, They're only 5. Be pension confident. Download the app or visit pensionbee.com to sign up.
Authorised and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority. Capital at risk. As the vaccine programme rolls out, it's vital we do everything we can to help stop the spread. That's why at Trusted PPE, we've reduced the price of helping you to stay safe, with 10 bottles of 50ml hand sanitizer now available for just £8.95. Order before 4 p.m. weekdays for same-day dispatch from trustedppe.co.uk. Free delivery on orders over £50. £4.95 postage applies to all other orders. Rated excellent on Trustpilot.
This is LBC with Ian Payne.
This is LBC. It's 26 minutes to 7 o'clock. Big question for me. So can I stay up late enough to watch all the Super Bowl? Can I do it? Can I manage it? The Weekend is doing the halftime show. Should be entertaining. Okay, let's talk about Amazon. Amazon and other companies who have made an enormous amount of money during the coronavirus crisis are facing a double tax raid, it says here, under plans being drawn up by the government to plug the black hole in Britain's finances. Treasury officials have summoned tech firms and retailers to a meeting this month ahead of the budget to discuss how an online sales tax would work, according to leaked emails. Amazon sales in Britain leapt by 51% last year to 19.5 billion, but one part of Amazon paid 14.5 million only in corporation tax. The company refuses to disclose its total corporation tax payment. And it's not just Amazon, it's basically people who've done very well during the pandemic, such as Amazon, ASOS, food delivery firms such as Ocado, Just Eat, Deliveroo, parcel firms, and the big supermarkets. How are they going to do this, and is this fair? Let me just read out a couple of texts before I go to the phone calls. 0345, there's space on the switchboard actually if you want to get through. It's been very, very busy today. 0345 6060 973. Of course, says Paul, Amazon should pay more tax. What's happening at the moment is that British-based companies who sell online can't compete against them. By all means, have online sales, but let's have a level playing field between companies who have their headquarters in Britain and companies who send their profits to headquarters abroad for low tax regime. You see, that seems perfectly fair and a perfectly reasonable request. If you have an online business, again, not knowing much about forming companies, I know I've got one, but I don't completely understand all the taxation side of it. If you're online, can't you be registered almost anywhere? I don't know. 0345 6060 973. Alan in Ivor takes a different view. He says, Ian, Amazon actually makes a loss on the retail business. What? Really? Profits come from their data center business, AWS, Amazon Web Services. So the government may not actually recoup much tax from extra tax on their retail arm. I see. What? Because their costs are so expensive, are they? Is that why they don't make much money on their retail? Let's also charge... Oh, no, that's talking about offshore accounts. That's business, says Elaine. Passing the costs on to the trader because it's the cost of doing business. The traders will have to consider increasing their cost of the consumer as a result. Then maybe we start paying a proper price for things instead of expecting everyone to everything for peanuts, says Elaine. And Adrian says, Ian, if these tax-avoiding companies should pay their tax, of course they should, and the government's correct to do something about it. However, they need to look closer at home as well. There are lots of people who we know, public figures, who have offshore investment. And again, I think that's slightly red herring, and it'd be difficult to chase them all. But anyway, so basically Amazon, online giants, people who've made a lot of money like supermarkets should be paying more tax. What do you think? And why aren't they? John's in Golders Green. Hello, John.
Hi, well, I was just listening while I was on the phone. You read out a text from a chap called Alan. Yeah. Amazon lose money.
Yeah, is that true?
And it's sort of true. They just about break even. And if you think about it, you've got all these people paying, in some cases, $7.99 a month for Amazon Prime. And how on earth does Amazon get the product from your warehouse to your house in 3 hours, 6 hours, whatever it is? It's called the last mile. But the cost of that last mile delivery is just enormous. And they run that business at break even. And they make all their hundreds of billions on their data services businesses.
What is their data services business?
Their data services business is all the information they get from all the retail transactions that you and I make every day. And many people make several times a day.
Really?
And they can use that information to sell.
Give me an example of how that would work then. Give me one example of how that...
I can give you an example of if you're sitting down and saying, where are you making your money? they're making money from everyone in the UK based on the information they have on every consumer in the UK who has an Amazon account. And that is the business to tax.
But what do they know about me? That
Well, they know everything about you. If you order a lawnmower on Amazon,
yeah,
okay, you will get 5 pop-ups offering you, I don't know, weed killer and grass
I
grower.
see. Yes. Fine. I'll have to check that. But I'll be honest with you, I never read emails anymore. I get so many of them every single day, and I just can't filter them all.
But they're pop-ups. And there's all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Like, you know, here are the things you last bought, and based on what you bought, here are some things.
Well,
you might
that's
be
why,
interested
because
in.
I spent a whole day decluttering my email and going to the unsubscribe that's in the tiny letters right at the
not
bottom of the
easy.
piece. And I've done it on every single one, and within a week, I've got a load more. I can't
they're also
get rid of
giving
them.
you suggestions on what to buy based on your last purchase.
I see.
Here are what consumers like you know, they also bought.
So
this
they
book.
run the retail business at even profitability.
Break even.
Wow, that's amazing.
Because they really do sell cheap. They undercut a lot.
God, they do, and they are so quick. Literally that same day.
So that all costs money in the warehouse, etc. So, but you know, that's not.
Well, you seem to know your stuff. Does Uber run at a profit yet? I was told they.
No, they don't. They don't. Thank you for saying I know my stuff.
Well, you do.
I do happen to know that, you know, if you think Amazon is in the business of selling goods, it's not. Amazon's business is data services now.
Just shows you, John. Thank you very much indeed. What a clever man. Anne is in Shoreditch. What do you know that I don't have?
Right, so basically, why would you want to charge these firms more tax? I've been shielding since March. I'm really angry. I've been on my own for a year, and I rely on my food deliveries. I had a really lovely guy bring my, I didn't even see him because he leaves the bags outside my door. But all my food today, I'm going to be delivering things that I can't because I've not been out literally for a year.
Yeah, they're brilliant.
What you need to do, this is what you need to do, you need to pay all these workers much more money because they're risking their life to do these deliveries. Let me get a breath.
Hold on. They're risking their lives to deliver parcels.
They are, because they're coming in blocks of flats. They're coming in blocks of flats and they're passing people when they do it.
Yes.
And they're going in numerous amount of blocks of flats. The Sainsbury's guys, they're having to, bring up all the shopping. They bring up all the shopping up.
Yes, but it's my understanding that these delivery firms, particularly Deliveroo, Uber Eats, they've got really strict policies on their workforce, shielding and making sure they're safe, haven't they?
Well, you know yourself, even if you step out the house, it's a risk because of what's happening now. So you can't 100%. They're not going to get coronavirus.
But I'm at risk I'm at risk by coming here to work. Aren't
Yeah, I know.
I should get a bonus.
No, of course you should as well. I agree because you've been keeping me. I don't know what I would have done without LBC. For a year, honestly, every day I've had it on from morning to night because I'm literally on my own. Yeah. But these people, I'm sure they're not paid enough, and what they're doing is they are key workers. And Boris Johnson, would you deliver my food parcel? Would you deliver my food next week? Would you deliver it for what they get paid? There's a question for Boris. There we are.
We'll ask him next time he's on. And pleasure to speak to you. I'm glad that you're shielding and that you're okay. So here I am. And again, this is why I sometimes love giving a little bit of anecdotal evidence of my life when it comes to a particular story. So I said, I go to unsubscribe, click it. It's difficult to find. Some of them still won't disappear because they're dogged. So I've just given up now with emails. I just let it just rain emails. Sam has given me some advice. Never click unsubscribe. Really? No. It shows that you are reading it. Oh my God. Send it to spam and you'll never see it again. If I could work out how to do that, I will. Eddie's in Rochester in Kent. Hi Eddie, what do you know I don't?
Well, I don't know anything you do. I just know what I feel myself.
Oh, go on then.
I'm vaguely aware about how Amazon works, but let alone what tax Amazon itself should or shouldn't pay. I actually feel guilty getting all these things so cheap. I think I should be paying more tax to our government when I get them.
Well, I'm sure if you want to give a contribution, it would be accepted.
Yeah,
maybe you could give it to the Tory fund.
Yeah, no, I think that's a little bit different.
Get a building contract. No, I'm joking.
Yeah. I mean, I've got no mandate, obviously, to speak for anybody else. I'm just saying, from my own perspective, when I get, you get things at almost negligible cost for free delivery and goodness knows what. And I'm thinking, well, you know, if I was going down a high street, might cost me money to get there and back one way or another. You know,
I was amazed. Did you know that the retail, the people that the company within Amazon that actually gets parcels and gives it to you when you've ordered it online, did you know they don't make a profit?
I was vaguely aware of that.
It's a hell of a profit from just data services.
It's impossible. How could they be making much of a profit? Yeah, it's just like...
I don't know. I don't have. As I say, that's why I've tried 2 independent companies and failed at both of them. So don't ask me. I'm a total failure when it comes to these things. But it seems to me he's got his. It just seemed to me like I sort of understood Amazon have this extraordinarily brilliant idea, and it's better than any other one on the market. So everyone uses it, and that's why they're making so much money. But apparently not. So there you are. You see, I just know nothing. Nada. Is it?
I mean, before this year, I wouldn't say I bought nothing from Amazon. I very occasionally bought something, but very, very little. This year, I must have got a vast
exactly. I did my Christmas shopping. Do you know how long did it take me to do my Christmas shopping, Eddie, for my family this year?
Oh, I don't know.
Last year. Do you know how much? Do you know how long? 8 minutes.
8 minutes.
8 minutes to do my Christmas shopping. Thank you, Jeff. See? He's a wonderful man. Lovely to speak to you, Eddie. You all right? Yeah. Everything okay with you?
Oh, yes.
Lovely.
Fine, thank you.
Good
fine.
man. Good man. Oh, just talking of deliveries made me salivate a bit. Shouldn't really say that, should I? It's 7:15.
Coming up at 7 on LBC, Rachel Johnson.
Some nations are insisting on proof of vaccination before you can enter their countries. Do you think vaccine passports are a good idea?
Rachel Johnson on LBC.
You can always trust those old family photos to spark off nostalgia. Throwback to impressive perms, shell suits, and avocado bathrooms. Your home contains precious memories, so protect it with a security system to make sure you're looking back for all the right reasons. Just visit trustedtrader.com and search through plenty of vetted, reviewed, reliable professionals in an abundance of trades. Like alarmingly good security installers.
Could you look your family in the eyes and tell them you're going out to exercise, not just meeting friends? That you only ever leave home when you really need to? Do you always keep a safe distance and wash your hands the moment you get back? Around 1 in 3 people who have COVID-19 have no symptoms and are spreading it without knowing. Sticking to the rules stops the spread. Stay home. Protect the NHS. Save lives.
At the Bank of Santander, the CEOs are discussing digital banking.
Digital is our destiny.
You said singing was our destiny. Look how that turned out.
Picture this, the world's first virtual bank.
Oh, will there be virtual hobnobs?
Meanwhile, at Santander, they're keeping the digital stuff simple with My Money Manager in their mobile banking app, which sends you useful notifications so you can stay close to your money. See what's possible at Santander.
16 plus applies to Santander credit cards, current and savings accounts accessed via mobile banking. T's and C's apply.
A dozen red roses, chocolates to share, Prosecco, 2 glasses. Make Valentine's Day at home special with a gift from your local co-op. From our dozen fair trade red roses to our delicious co-op irresistible Prosecco and fair trade milk chocolate hearts, we have everything you need to show them you care this Valentine's Day. Co-op is what we do. Subject to availability. See participating stores for details. Roses available from the 9th of February. Please drink responsibly.
Your start it up is our warm it up. Your masterpiece is our get it in one piece. Your it's just never gonna fit is our reverse it in bit by bit. And your daily marathon when it's done is our ready to start work and we'll put the kettle on. Because your business is our business. Volkswagen Commercial Vehicles, working with you. Park assist optional extra. Driver assistance only. Driver must retain control at all times. Many van centres open late for bookings. See volkswagenvans.co.uk for details.
They don't chant your name when you give blood or sing songs about you, but patients and their families will remember you forever because your blood can change their lives. We need more blood donors in Tooting, the West End and Edgware. Bleed for London. Join us today at blood.co.uk.
The stunning Samsung Galaxy S21 series is here with next generation camera and video. It's epic from every angle. And with Vodafone, you can save £360 guaranteed. Simply trade in a Galaxy S9 or S10 using our trading tool. Order online now and save £360 on the Galaxy S21 series. Ready? Vodafone.
Based on saving £15 per month on a 24-month plan. Return device with past trading checks. Details and terms at vodafone.co.uk.
This is LBC with Ian Payne.
Yes, every time I think I've got a vague handle on what's going on here with Amazon and some of the big tech companies and the tax they pay and the profits they make, someone comes along and says that's not true. So we had a gentleman on before saying Amazon don't make any profit at all from their retail, i.e. you order something online, it gets sent to your flat, your house, very, very quickly and very, very cheaply. No profit from that, but it makes profit from the information it gleans from you being a customer that they sell to other companies. And therefore they send you emails saying, oh, if you like that, you'll probably like this one. However, Rohit disagrees. He said, no, I disagree with what you were told a few minutes ago. AWS, which is part of the which is part of the Amazon empire, is a business that sells cloud-based computing services. They're not reselling your shopping data, at least not under the AWS brand. AWS is a managed cloud platform that lets you run your own websites, applications, servers, databases, nothing more, nothing less. And now I'm back in the kind of confused room. Much more easily understandable is a text from Christine, who says, Ian, you're still not cooking for yourself. I thought you were going to make an effort. Can't cook, won't cook, Christine, frankly. Anything I've ever cooked myself is disgusting because I know what went in it. Rory in Armour. Oh, God. I can't even say it. Thank you, mate. Oh, it's pathetic. But anyway, what's your feelings?
Well, first of all, I can maybe help you in your confusion there as well.
Yes, please.
I know a little bit about the data service side.
Right.
So your text message was correct. They do Amazon data service. Basically, if you build a website, the information for that website, it has to be stored somewhere.
Yes.
And you store that on a server. Yes. And Amazon do provide them servers. But also, to contradict it a little bit, when they're saying they're not directly selling your data, that is true in a way, similar to Facebook not directly selling your data. However, if a business wants to advertise to people on Facebook, Facebook has a list of interests that they believe their customers are interested in. So you just have to click whichever one you want to target, and Facebook will target that. And Amazon will use their data to do the same. And because the business is paying for the advertising, that will be how
okay, I don't understand any of that, but does Amazon make a profit on its retail side?
Probably a small one, but
we are agreed on this. Wow.
Yeah, the other end of it will be the bigger one. But what I actually called the discussion was, in terms of the taxing, I think it's just never going to work anyway. If you try and tax these big companies, they can afford the big accountants. And
they can afford what, sorry?
The big rich accountancy companies.
Yeah.
And they're the ones who can show you how to tax dodge effectively. Now, it always gets passed on to the customer anyway. But what's going to happen if they start taxing Amazon more is Amazon will put up its prices and they'll still dodge the tax. So we're going to end up off anyway. I would say a better solution would be to look at charging 1p for every single online transaction done in the UK. The same way that Visa and MasterCard implement their charges. So every time somebody pays online, Visa and MasterCard take a tiny fee. It might be 2% if it's a credit card. It might be 2p if it's a debit card. That fee is gospel. Nobody avoids that fee. I can't understand why we wouldn't just simply add 1 penny onto that and take it for the UK. I think it would cover everything.
Do you? Would it pay for the borrowing we've done during the pandemic?
Nothing's going to pay for the borrowing we've done during the pandemic, but it will cover the rates and things which I'm assuming the government are looking at as we're moving away from the high street. They're not going to be getting their normal business rates and things like that. Right. And this is going to be showing the plug from that.
Should we strive to save the high street?
It's impossible. I think it's just left behind in today's society. I know just by the way businesses are moving at the minute, you need to be very agile in today's market. Your business needs to be able to flick its audience and flick with a target very quickly. And unfortunately, paying a large amount of money in big contracts for high street premises just doesn't offer you the same target and it doesn't offer you the same options. And fixing into them sort of big retail contracts is just a big risk.
What do you do, Rory?
I run a few online businesses.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Thank you. What should I do about spam email?
Nothing, they're a way of life too.
Thank you.
Just embrace them.
I wish I could, but I can't feel them, I can't touch them, I can't smell them. They don't exist, therefore. Kevin is in Richmond. Hi, Kevin.
Hi, Ian. How you doing?
A bit confused, but, you know, what's new?
Yeah, sure. I was just going to try and explain how I believe this model works in terms of how companies can avoid tax.
Okay, yes, go ahead. Don't say anything illegal.
I'll try not to.
No, don't.
Say you and I, this is all hypothetical, right?
Yeah.
Say you and I wanted to set up a personal training brand.
Mm.
So we were personal trainers and we call it no pain, no gain, right?
Yeah.
Now, you set up No Pain, No Gain group.
Mm. I'm just writing this down, hold on. Yeah.
You set that up in Ireland, for example, which I think has 12.5% corporation tax,
Yes, correct.
I set up No Pain, No Gain UK Limited in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I am a subsidiary of your group, and I then go away and do my personal training. I make £100 in sales, right? Mm-hmm. I have £50 of costs. So you would think I've made £50 profit, right? Which I'd have to pay tax on. But you say to me, no, Kevin, you have to pay me a franchise fee to set up No Pain, No Gain, UK Limited. And the franchise fee is £49. So I now pay you, sitting in Ireland, that £49. I've only made £1 profit. And I have to then pay 20 or 19% on that pound. You're sitting in Ireland, you pay 12.5% on your £49 fee. And that's one way in which it's possible to legally avoid tax.
Why don't we both set it up in Ireland and save more?
Well, I've got to we want to operate in the UK, right? Just as you were mentioning another internet company that does operate in the UK, right? So it's a similar model. If we could do it in Ireland, but if we want to sell in the UK...
Well, hold on, I thought the whole business about Amazon was that they are set up and based in Ireland, which is why they don't pay, even though they are distributing in the UK.
Well, they're still making some profits in the UK, right? Just as I'm still making my £1 profit on No Pain.
So you're saying they're based in both the UK and Ireland?
Yeah, I think you had a call on earlier. Your kind of professor guy, the smart guy, was describing these companies have hundreds of different sub companies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm just giving you a simple example of that. So No Pain, No Gain UK would be one of those subsidiaries.
Mm.
So that you need to have a company in a country to can operate there, right? So you need to have offices and staff and everything and so on.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I still don't understand entirely, but I'm getting a vague idea here. This is a lot more complicated. So, if I've learned anything today, and boy, I've learned a lot. When we've talked about links to the slave trade. We've talked about life crime. We've talked about this. I think of all the things I've learned over the last 3 hours. Well, one will be that skeleton from Andrew, who was originally from Zimbabwe, of an ancestor of his who was died in a war, was hung by the British after the wars over there, and their skeleton is still in the British Museum now, their ancestor. That's one thing I remember. The other thing I remember is Amazon don't make profits from selling you parcels. What? Jack is probably the last caller in Whitechapel. Hello, Jack.
Thanks for taking the call.
Pleasure.
What it is that the last caller actually explained things very well as to how companies will structure themselves to avoid paying too much tax.
Mm-hmm.
But the situation you've got at the moment is I'm not going to suggest that it's going to be Amazon, but it might be Amazon, or it might be many other large corporations that are selling stuff online and having them delivered. It's actually the drivers at the driver end that are actually making sure that they break even because of the low pay that they're on. Now, you're talking to someone who runs a delivery company, and I'm going to say it to you, my drivers, along with many of the other drivers, need to be paid more money for what they're doing, for the risk they're taking, paying for people's homes, for filling up at the fuel stations, for actually being out there and being...
Isn't that up to you to pay them more?
It would be up to me to pay them more if I could squeeze a bit more out of the clients to make that margin still profitable for me to run the business. Now, obviously, I can't speak to bigger corporations and people like that. What I can say to you is that if I was to get more money from my customers, I would 100% pass that directly on to my drivers. If I can make
Right. But answer me this question before we finish, Jack. Is it true that Amazon do not make a profit from their retail company side?
My honest answer to that is I don't know.
Okay, no, that's fine.
I would say to you, I can't see them doing something for nothing.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, Jack. And here endeth the lesson. I'll be on LBC News for the next... No, I won't. I'll be doing the late here, won't I? Sorry. 10 till 1 every night. You must listen. Coming up at 9, it's Ruth Davidson with An Inconvenient Ruth. But next on LBC, it's Rachel Johnson. You ready?
You always leave me about 1 second to sit down. Thank you.
You come in late.
Thank you, Ian. Right, we're on vaccine passports. Do you think they're a good idea? Some countries are insisting on proof of vaccination before you can enter the country. Estonia and Romania are already offering quarantine exemptions if you've already had the virus or you've been vaccinated. Today, Nadim Zadawi said it's not what we should be doing. However, Labour says they may be necessary. It's worth noting that vaccination doesn't prevent you passing on the virus. So, do you think vaccine passports are a good idea? 0345 6060 973. Text 84850 or tweet at LBC. Plus, how do you think Keir's doing? Is Starmer working? Give me a rating for Keir Starmer out of 10.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC.
From Global's newsroom at 7 o'clock, a study suggests the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine may only offer limited protection against mild disease caused by the South African variant of COVID-19. But the company says data from a small study of 2,000 people shows the jab can protect against severe disease caused by the South African mutation. More than 12 million people in the UK have now had a first dose of either the Pfizer or the AstraZeneca vaccine. And Vaccine Minister Nadim Zahawi told Swarbrick on Sunday on LBC he's confident of meeting the targets for the 4 highest priority groups this month and for the over 50s in May.
Yesterday, between 11 and 12, we almost touched 1,000 jabs a minute. We got to 979 a minute. So the infrastructure is in place. The determining factor is vaccine supply.
Mr. Zahawi also told us the government has no plan for COVID passports. The Mayor of Manchester is calling for more supplies of coronavirus vaccines in some poorer areas where life expectancy is lower. Andy Burnham says a more sophisticated approach is needed in the next phase and wants it to be a judgment based on health.
In those areas, people in their 60s have the same level of health as people in their 70s in other areas. And it also is the case that those same areas where life expectancy is lowest tend to be the places where more people are out at work in those key professions.
A further 15,845 people have tested positive for COVID in the latest 24-hour period. Last Sunday's figure was just over 21,000. 373 more people have died within 28 days of a positive test. Nearly £30,000 in fines have been handed out to people who broke COVID-19 rules by gathering at an illegal pop-up shisha bar. West Midlands Police said officers who were clamping down on lockdown breaches found 36 people crammed above a food shop on Stratford Road in Birmingham on Saturday night. Tens of thousands of people have been protesting in Myanmar against the military coup in the country. Much of the civilian government was arrested when the army took over on Monday. Demonstrators also want democracy campaigner and ousted leader Aung San Suu Kyi released. Liverpool have lost 3 home league games in a row for the first time since 1963. They've lost 4-1 to Premier League leaders Manchester City at Anfield. The weather, snow continuing across southeast England tonight with showers in the northeast, a sharp frost everywhere and a low of -4. Cold and windy tomorrow with snow showers in the east, some sunshine in the west and a high of 3. From Global's newsroom, I'm Tim Humphrey.
This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Rachel Johnson.
Good evening. You're listening to me, Rachel Johnson, leading Britain's conversation on LBC with you till 9 o'clock. Right, tonight I want you to help me mark Sir Keir's homework. What do you give him out of 10 after almost a year as leader of the opposition? Coming up later, we're going to take our usual little look at the week ahead, home and away, with a top newspaper editor. But first, vaccine passports. Do you think they're a good idea? Do you think they're going to be necessary? Some countries are insisting on proof of vaccination as a condition of entry. The EU is looking at it right now to start with, as Greece and Cyprus are both pushing to open up tourism and travel. And they're suggesting that they might accept vaccinated travellers. And several nations in Eastern Europe are leading the way with new policies, like Estonia and Romania are offering quarantine exemption for travellers who've had COVID-19 in the past few months or been vaccinated against the virus. And even the Labour Party is saying that vaccine passports might be necessary. However, the government is now ruling out plans to issue these vaccine passports. And Nadeem Zadawi said that travellers will be able to obtain written proof from their GPs to show to border officials. Good luck with that. But let's hear what Nadeem Zadawi said, speaking to LBC this morning.
It would be wrong to go down the vaccine passport route for several reasons. One, we don't know the impact of vaccines on transmission yet. Two, we don't mandate vaccines in the United Kingdom, and therefore it would be discriminatory to then, as the Prime Minister to the House, we don't do these things this way in this country. That's not our value. We're about openness and persuasion.
That was Nadeem Zahawi, I should say, speaking to LBC this morning. A bit rich, perhaps, using the civil liberties argument at a time when going abroad on holiday is actually illegal. So do you all think that vaccine passports are a good idea? I know I do. Call 0345 6060 973, text 84850 or tweet at LBC. This is why I think they're a good idea. I can't quite see the counter arguments. As I said, going on holiday is currently illegal. My hopes for next year without vaccine passports have telescoped to sitting on a park bench with a friend, having a cup of coffee and not getting arrested. I can't wait for my Corona digital pass. I resent being told by a government minister, this is not how we do things in this country, when frankly everything that we used to do as a matter of course has been made illegal. And the only things that we can do as a matter of course are those things that we've been told by a cabinet minister or an expert standing at a podium we can do. So actually, to me, the vaccination passport offers a much needed and long overdue glimmer and sight of freedom on the horizon. I will be grabbing mine with both arms, having had my vaccine. Of course, it's not going to be equal for everybody right from the beginning because we are vaccinating in priority cohorts first. But given the rate of vaccination, with 12 million of us now vaccinated, the under 50s, I predict, will not have to wait too long before they can brandish their vaccine passport like we used to brandish our yellow folders with our vaccines and our booster shots all there in one place and travel and work and gather as we used to, almost as we used to. And what, for me, I can't wait. So let us turn to Simon Calder, who's the independent journalist, who's going to explain to us whether and how this all might happen. Simon, thanks for coming on the show.
Rachel, it's so nice to get the chance to try to talk through the minefield that this involves. And to be fair on the vaccines minister, if I may, when he was speaking earlier, I think there's a slight element of cross purposes in that a vaccine passport of the sort that he was describing, I think he was kind of thinking of, well, do you need one to go to Old Trafford? Will you need one to go to get on the train? Will you need one to
So he was thinking about domestic use? Like
yes,
whereas of course... as a way of going about your business in the UK. And he said, no, that's not how we do things. Right, well, then I misconstrued.
Well, of course, there's been an awful lot of leaks from various ministers about the idea that we are going to have a passport saying on these particular dates, Rachel Johnson had her jab. It was Pfizer or AstraZeneca or who knows, even Sputnik V. This was the batch number. And 3 weeks on from the second one, she's good to go. Now, that's obviously very interesting for you, but it's also of great interest to destination countries, because any destination, as we saw this time last year, starts closing down borders because it wants to keep its population safe. It also needs to balance health versus wealth. If it's a tourism-dependent country like, for example, Cyprus or Greece, then of course they're going to say, well, we want the people who've been vaccinated, clearly, because even though, of course, as the vaccines minister said, it's no guarantee that you are not going to be able to pass the virus on, it is actually, and this is according to Oxford's, University of Oxford, I've just been checking it out, they say first jab reduced the chance that you will pass on the virus by 2/3, and that's just after the first jab. So it's a pretty good indicator that you are less risk than somebody who hasn't had the jab. So you've got effectively that pull factor, those countries saying, yeah, come on down. And I'll tell you what, there's going to be an arms race about this, literally to do with arms. If you've had the jab, then these countries will want to welcome you in. If you haven't, well, you might be waiting. You're probably not going to be waiting a bit longer, but you're probably going to have tests. You might well have quarantine when you get there, and then actually turning things round when you come back in. Clearly, vaccinated travellers are going to present less of a risk than unvaccinated travellers. But I can't see the government saying, right, we're going to have a fast track for people who've had both jabs. The rest of you, you stand in line, and then we're going to make you quarantine for 10 days. So all sorts of problems.
No, I sort of get it. So are you saying that we may have vaccine passports and the vaccines minister has not ruled them out?
Well, it's a vaccine passport by any other name, in the sense that he said, and I think this is exactly what he said on LBC, you can ask your GP who holds your records for proof that you've been vaccinated.
I see. So
now,
if you can show proof, you might be allowed into Greece or Cyprus, which are currently
but yes, and it's
vaccinated travellers.
Yes, and I put this to GPs, both individually. One Glasgow doctor said, we definitely are not delighted. Far too many, and I don't know if you've heard this, Rachel, GANFIDs. That's GANFYD. Get a note from your doctor. Far too many of those already without adding to the pile.
Well, I know. I mean, when he said that, my heart went out to GPs who are actually doing the vaccination, and now they're going to be responsible for the certification of the vaccination, which seems like a big ask of our local surgeries at quite a stressed time for them.
Yes, it does. And while it quite rightly, your details, well, some details of your jab are held on NHS Digital, and I would urge people to sign up for that. It's not the NHS COVID app, it's the kind of normal permanent one. And that will say on this particular day, Rachel Johnson had this particular jab, but it's not going to give all the crucial details, what sort of vaccine it is and which batch number. And so everybody, airlines, frustrated travellers, individual countries, they just want some sort of internationally agreed solution. And of course, at the moment, there's even talk of people forging certificates and getting in that way, which of course is just unconscionable.
No, I've seen that. And if you have your vaccine, I think you're given a small card for the moment.
Yes,
which
and
of
it would
course
take
anybody, any teenager could cod one up in their bedroom. So what's clear is that the government can't outsource this responsibility to GPs. The NHS app, as you rightly say, is going to be crucially important. It maybe needs to have more detail in it about batch number and origin of the vaccine and the date of the vaccine and all those things, which are going to be important. Because if you were vaccinated 6 months ago, it may be established that it only lasts 5 months. So all of that detail will need to be in. How are other countries approaching the issue of vaccination passports? Let's just keep to the EU.
Well, of course, the UK is so far ahead of pretty much everywhere else in Europe that it's quite difficult to tell. And I mean, for example, France, which has closed all its borders effectively, who knows when they are going to be opening up. But there's a couple of very interesting exemplars. First of all, Seychelles. They are saying, we don't care. We are immunising ourselves against tourists.
How?
So therefore, because they say, yeah, we're a small country, but 125,000
They're all
people,
getting vaccinated.
90,000 adults, they're all getting vaccinated. By mid-March, we reckon we're going to be able to say to everybody, come on down, we don't mind because we're not going to catch anything off you because we've been vaccinated.
Simon, what about the news today that the South African variant was a bit resistant to the AstraZeneca? I know we're getting a bit granular, but just because you've had one vaccine, it doesn't mean you're necessarily safe from all the variants of the virus.
No, of course not. And we've got so much to learn. But meanwhile, countries from the UK to the Seychelles to France to everyone, particularly if they're tourism dependent, is going to be making judgments. And they're going to be saying, yes, we don't actually know for sure that this is going to protect us against all those variants. But given that the alternative is that we keep our frontiers closed and we see thousands of people out of work and the economy completely tanks, we're going to take a chance. I mean, Greece last summer was a really good example. They had extremely low rates. They knew the minute they invited the likes of you and me in that the rates would increase, but they were prepared to tolerate that in order to have something approaching a tourism season. And my goodness me, I was so glad I managed to get to Greece.
And are we lagging behind in terms of making that sort of finely balanced judgment about how health v wealth? Because it seems to me that so far we're being super cautious, even though we vaccinated 15 million, far more than all of the EU countries put together.